and it was a lovely day. So just driving across the Yorkshire moors at this time of the year was splendid. And
Gorgeous.
you're pretty high up actually, but you don't realise it because it's like a plateau. So it's only when you drop down that you realise that you've been quite high up. And this was sort of, I don't know, beyond York, heading towards Pickering, which is, if you know it, but it's very pretty little market town on the edge of the moors there. Quite a affluent sort of place by the looks of things. Lots of splendid houses and massive gardens and whatever. But nevertheless, it's kind of the gateway to the coastline, really. Here's a quick map of the area. So we came from the Yorkshire Wolds to Pickering across, and then eventually at a certain point you can see the sea and you have this magnificent vista of the Yorkshire coast in front of you. As I say, we were blessed with nice weather, so it was extra special. So you go down the Esk Valley into Whitby. This is a gentleman called Bram Stoker. You've all heard of. A bit of a story about him. He was born in Dublin in 1847. Died in 1912. He went to uni with Oscar Wilde, and they stayed friends in London, where he met Whistler and Conan Doyle and people. And he was a bit of a writer, but his day job was looking after the Victorian actor Sir Henry Irving, who was in charge of the Lyceum Theatre in London in those days. He was a very famous, high-profile actor. Henry Irving spent a 6-year period at the Theatre Royal in Manchester when he was with Ellen Terry, and who was his mistress, not his wife. And they had a 6-year I don't know what you call it, residency, right, in the Theatre Royal in Manchester, on Peter Street in Manchester. Ibsen wasn't performed in London because he was too risque, but they didn't have any problem with that in Manchester. So a lot of Ibsen's premieres were given in Manchester, UK premieres. Anyway, this is Sir Henry Irving, looking rather fierce. Guess the character?
Shiloh.
Yes, seems fairly obvious, doesn't it? Really? But, yeah, and anyway, Bram Stoker's most famous book was, of course, Dracula, and he got the idea. The original story is a sort of Eastern European folktale, but when Irving and company had been on a very arduous tour of Scotland, and they decided to rest up on the way home in Whitby, and they stayed in the Royal Crescent at Whitby here. I didn't know the name of the lady who was their landlady, but I lost it, so I apologise. But anyway, this is the rather grand sort of houses, apartments, hotels, etc. in a rather nice spot which overlooks the West Cliff, looks out to sea across the whole bay. And as you look across the headland, you can see on the other side of the water Whitby Abbey, which probably in a certain light has a rather awesome character about it. And there are bats swooping around. So in his rest period, he kind of put all this together and came up with the Dracula story. This is the ruins of the Abbey, which you can see now. Doesn't look so good though, but actually when you get close up, there's rather more of it than you might imagine. I hope I'm not, probably most of you know this anyway, but oh, go on. It was founded in 657, and it was the centre of Anglo-Saxon Christianity at this period. And then eventually it was remodeled on a much grander scale in the 13th century. But after 657, there was the famous Synod of Whitby, 664. Here's St. Hilda, or Hild, who was the abbess. She was quite important in the Synod, which was perhaps strange in those days when everything was dominated by men. But the Synod was, it was called by King, I've got it down as Oswald, but some people call him still King Oswiu of Northumbria. In those days, this part of Yorkshire was a part of Northumbria, the Kingdom of Northumbria. And he wanted to set the date, or not, so we'll recalculate the date for celebrating Easter. And also, another perhaps more interesting or less important thing was they decided that Monk's tonsure should be changed from the Celtic, which I think is rather nice, the Celtic one here at the bottom, a bit more punky, and then to go to the Roman style of tonsure where the centre of the head was shaved. I'm sure they discussed much meatier matters than that, but just that struck me as being colour rather than that.
Yeah, I've got one of them, Graham.
Sorry?
I've got one of them.
Yeah. which one have you got, the Roman or the Celtic?
The Roman.
Okay.
This comes naturally to some people.
There you go. I suppose most of the monks were young men, weren't they, in those days? So they would have, well, started up as young men anyway, so they would have had to lose their but the Abbey is, once you get up there, we cheated. We didn't walk up the 199 steps. We got the tour bus, which dropped us right behind, took us onto the headland. But there's a splendid museum there, and there's a St Mary's Church, I think it is. But it's still quite impressive. I mean, sometimes you go to ruins and that's all it is. You get no sense of what used to be there, but it's you can see the grandeur and the splendor of it. And how amazing that something in the 12th century could 13th century could be built in that kind of way. Probably at great costs of life and limb as well. But this is looking down from the Abbey towards looking across, I should say, the Abbey towards the central part of town. Everywhere you go in Whitby, there are splendid views, different directions of different things. But this was a less than salubrious morning. It was a bit cold and dark, but it did brighten up a bit. But there was a lot of people about. This splendid Victorian pier wasn't designed as a leisure pier. It was designed for boats and stuff. There's lots of men on the far end of it fishing, but it's a good sturdy piece of Victorian engineering. All around the town there are all these lovely statues and carvings. Some of them are like this one are from wood. And I think this was possibly carved from an old boat or something, but they're real nice characters. You don't actually notice them all. When the town's very busy, you're walking through, you don't see them. But I took a walk one morning about 6:30. This is my wont, and you can see them much more clearly. So this is around about 7 o'clock in the morning, so the sun's just going up, and
That's lovely.
It's a nice light. And these are, as I was coming down from the headland, I saw this group of people. This again was, early morning, 6, 7, 6, 7 o'clock. this group of guys, what the hell are they doing there at this time in the morning?
Fishermen.
And when I got down, they're actually women. They're fishwives.
Yeah.
Some of the carvings are made from wood, but this one is made from metal mesh, you know. But from a distance, they're so realistic.
Gosh. Yeah.
I love this guy.
Oh.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah. And it's still a busy fishing port. There's a big sort of boat ship with all its wooden boat with its sails and everything. But it's it's busy. Mostly, I think, leisure craft. But you do get they go out fishing for lobster and crab and all the rest of it. See all the creative things. Okay. The inlet runs right through the centre of the town. So the town's divided into two halves that headland on either side. And this swing bridge, this Victorian swing bridge, operates on a regular basis to let boats through. So quite often the traffic or the footfall is held up to allow the bridge to open and close. Okay.
Oh, yum.
This is its famous fair, which is, there are fish and chip shops everywhere, but there are also more specifically seafoody type.
Oh, yum.
So here we have lobster and crevettes, as they poshly call them, which are like dirty big prawns, and cod and chips and all the rest of it. And we had dinner one night at this fantastic seafood restaurant called The Fisherman's Wife, which is right on the headland. There's a sheer drop on the far side of it, so we sat in a window on the other side with lovely views out to sea, and we had the splendid meal. And then we moved into the realms of anoraks and books. There is in Whitby a station which has a regular sort of schedule of services, but also has the Northport Moors Railway, which is a volunteer run steam train system which runs along the Esk Valley. It was 25 quid each to go to Goatland, which is about, I don't know, 12 miles away. We ended up the journey was short but memorable. There's this amazing viaduct that you go through. This, again, is a pinch picture. I didn't take this, obviously, but it's really splendid. And the Esk Valley is very beautiful and well worth 25 quid, actually. Then we got to Goatland, which those of you who are fans will know is also the Hogsmeade station, which is Harry Potter land. And when we were coming back, there were 250,000 Japanese tourists on the station. It's unbelievable. All of them probably around about 14 or 15. And they were having pictures taken all over the place. And we had to stop here and change trains again. Further up the road in Goatland, those of you who are familiar with the television program Heartbeat will recognise this, which is this is the setting for, I think, Heartbeat. I don't know. It's an old series about police in North Yorkshire, 60s Ford. It's Ford Anglia, isn't it?
Ford Anglia. Mm.
Is permanently parked outside. I mean, I think the village is called Aidensfield in the story, so they've obviously adopted it. This is the Aidensfield Arms and the Aidensfield Shop. In Whitby itself, there's a very pretty park called Planet Park, which again has lovely views all over the place. And it houses an absolutely splendid museum and art gallery. And this is what's this called? It's called
Is it an ichthyosaurus?
yes, Jackie, there we are. I was just trying to read it.
You know me, I love my bits of bone. And
Yeah. But it really was a lovely and
that's a really good one, that too.
Yeah. And so apart from the fossils and things, it was quite exhibitions about the history of Whitby and sailing. And there was a big side exhibition on about the women of Yorkshire, and Whitby is famous for jet. Lots of jewelry, a lot of jewelry and stuff has comes from Whitby, especially in Victorian times when it was mourning jewelry.
Yeah, for funerals. Yeah.
But this is something that took my eye. This is a chessboard made from a single piece of jet, and it's about 3 foot by, I don't know, 2 foot or something. This kind of relates to the gallery actually, because while we were in the gallery, there was an exhibition of work by Dame Laura Knight, a famous British artist, who actually came from Long Eaton in Derbyshire, but in the early 20th century, the early 1900s, Laura Knight and her husband Harold Knight and a group of artists set up a colony in Staithes, which is about 12 miles north of Whitby. And Staithes holds a very special place in my heart, because when I was about 10, I had the most wonderful holiday there, which has never gone away from me. It's something I always remember. So I've been back maybe 2 or 3 times in the subsequent 60 years, but 60 odd years, but it's still very special. I mean, I wasn't remotely disappointed. But this is one of her paintings. Here's another one and just to say that when I was there in 1957, these women still existed. The fishermen were on the dock with their bonnets and their boots, and they were gutting the fish as it came in. So probably the very end of that particular type of thing. Picture of the Jurassic coast in Staithes. So it's blocked off now, but when I was there, you could walk along here, but there's all kinds of railings and warnings and things about what I suppose falling cliffs. We went, there's the cod and lobster. We had lunch in the cod and lobster. We didn't have the cod or lobster, but I had crab, so it was all
yum.
Captain Cook, there's a big monument to him on the opposite headlands of the Abbey in Whitby. But in fact, his relationship with Staithes is that he was sent there as a 12-year-old boy as an apprentice to a grocer in Haberdasher. Anyway, I think this is apparently is where he learned his love for the sea, and he wasn't much use as a grocer's boy or haberdasher's boy, but he went off to Whitby and he was apprenticed to. He lived with the Quaker family for a bit, and then he was apprenticed to the Merchant Navy, and the rest is history, as you all know. Oh, and this is my last picture. I think this is the inlet in Staithes, where you've got the village on either side of the water coming in, low tide here, but obviously it rises higher as the day goes on.
No, that's great.
That was lovely. That was so good. I must go. It's made me want to go now.